I'm Teisha Bader with Shalom TV's News Update. United States National Security Advisor Tom Donilon met with top Israeli officials on Monday to discuss Iran, Syria, and other regional issues. Donilon spokesman Tommy Viter said the National Security Advisor met with his Israeli counterpart Yaakov Amidror, among others, in what was the latest in a series of regular high-level consultations between the United States and Israel, consistent with our strong bilateral partnership and part of our unshakable commitment to Israel's security. The meeting was the first high-level dialogue between U.S. and Israeli officials at the White House since President Obama was re-elected on November the 6th. A group of 20 French imams visited the Yad Vashem Holocaust Memorial in Jerusalem on Tuesday as part of a 5-day trip to Israel. The Muslim religious leaders are hoping to show the, quote, true face of French Muslims as one of tolerance and support for the Jewish people. One of the imams on the trip, Hassan Shaljumi, said, unfortunately, French Muslims are seen as being anti-Semitic. While it is true, he says, that there are imams who spread anti-Semitism in the name of Allah, they are a minority. We plan to present a different facet, that of Muslims who want to live in peace with Jews and wish to advance that peace. After Yad Vashem, the group visited the graves of the victims of the Toulouse shooting last March. The imams also plan to meet with Israel's President Shimon Peres and Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, as well as with Jewish, Muslim, and Christian spiritual leaders, and visit Jerusalem's holy Muslim sites. The group issued a statement saying, "Our image in the world has been sullied, and we must remedy it in the name of tolerance," adding, "We are the true face of French Muslims." Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, Ron Prosor, lodged a letter of complaint with the UN Security Council regarding the over 150 rocket attacks fired into Israel from the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip, demanding that both the Hamas-led government and the Palestinian leadership in Gaza condemn the attacks. Prosor also said in the letter that those terrorizing Israel today will pay tomorrow. This echoed the sentiment expressed by Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who said there would be a heavy price to pay for the rocket attacks. The JTA reports that 500 rabbis representing all streams of Judaism signed a letter to Cuba's president on Sunday, urging the release of jailed Jewish American Alan Gross on humanitarian grounds. The letter cites a recent medical assessment of Gross's medical records by an American doctor who determined that Gross could have a cancerous tumor. The rabbi's letter also said that if a release is not granted, they would ask alternatively for a doctor of Gross's choosing to come and examine him and evaluate his medical situation. Meanwhile, officials from the Simon Wiesenthal Center met with authorities in Ecuador to ask for their support in seeking Gross's release. The center's Latin American director Sergio Witter and Dr. Shimon Samuels, its director of international relations, met in separate meetings with Ecuador's Deputy Justice Minister Carmen Simón Lasso and the Justice Ministry's legal advisor Marco Prado, where the center requested the, quote, humanitarian intervention of Ecuador in view of its close bilateral relations to urge the Cuban authorities for an early release of U.S. citizen Alan Gross. Gross was sentenced last year to 15 years in prison in Cuba for, quote, crimes against the state, for allegedly bringing satellite phones and computer equipment to members of Cuba's Jewish community while working as a contractor for the U.S. Agency on International Development there. Very often when we talk about the issue of refugees after 1948, we only talk about Palestinian refugees. But in reality, there were about 850,000 Jewish refugees as well, and Canadian lawmaker Irwin Cotler now wants to make sure that we are keeping that in mind. He has proposed a motion in Canada's Parliament calling for the formal recognition of Jewish refugees who were displaced from their homes in Arab countries after the establishment of the State of Israel. Cotler noted that since 1948, there have been more than 170 UN resolutions on Palestinian refugees, but none make reference to Jewish refugees. The Cotler resolution asks that the issue of Jewish refugees, as well as refugees from Christian and other populations displaced from Middle East countries, be part of any comprehensive Middle East peace negotiations. And finally today, a new survey of Jewish communal organizations found that 50% of them have taken significant steps to welcome gays and lesbians and their families. The Jewish organization Equality Index was released on Sunday by the Human Rights Campaign, which works for the equal rights of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, or LGBT, community. 204 Jewish communal organizations, about 10% of those invited to take part, took the survey. Lynn Schusterman of the Charles and Lynn Schusterman Family Foundation, one of the index's funders, said, "We applaud the organizations that participated and are taking important steps to foster LGBT inclusion. But we still have a long way to go until LGBT Jews, indeed all Jews, are embraced as full and vital members of the Jewish family in every aspect of communal life." And that's Shalom TV's News Update. I'm Teisha Bader.